As we saw in the previous commentary, Donald Trump is conducting a full-spectrum counter-revolution against the Greentech revolution that is transforming energy production and consumption worldwide. This commentary shows that he has managed to significantly impede the onward march of Greentech in the U.S., but that Greentech is marching on nonetheless. In the aftermath of Trump's assault, the Greentech revolution in America is churning, both stopped in its tracks and driving forward. Climate journalist and musician J.L. Holtzman recently took a cross-country rock and roll tour with her band Echo Astral. She observed, "Driving across the country with my band, I saw solar and wind projects in Wisconsin, Kansas, Arizona, and Idaho. One drive from Austin, Texas to Roswell, New Mexico sent me through a dizzying maze of wind farms in the western portion of the Lone Star State that surrounded my vehicle on all sides with spinning blades and transmission lines, and fracking rigs because it was Texas. It felt like some sort of twisted, magnificent, energy-wonk video game." But she also noted, "I drove through open fields and farmland in the Midwest and the Great Plains, including places where building solar or wind is banned outright. I drove straight through the part of central Idaho where Lava Ridge, once the largest wind farm in the country, would have been built this year, if not for Donald Trump." Trump's Greentech counter-revolution has succeeded in making many corporations and governments cut back or abandon climate goals and policies. The consequences are catastrophic for the climate and for the future of the American people. A week before the 2024 election, Idaho's largest electric utility struck a 35-year deal to buy power from the Jackalope Wind Project that would span an area the size of Chicago, with hundreds of wind turbines generating clean energy by 2027. But President Trump's Interior Department quickly stalled Jackalope's environmental review. In September, the Idaho utility finally canceled its contracts with Jackalope Wind, citing, quote, "uncertainties related to the federal permitting process," close quote. Jackalope is only one of more than 60 large wind and solar farms that are being blocked on federal lands. According to the Solar Energy Industries Association, 73,000 megawatts of solar projects on land are currently at risk from political interference due to the Trump administration's blockade. After the tax credit for buying an EV expired at the end of September, sales of EVs plummeted by about 46%. In 2025 as a whole, American businesses and households invested $91 billion in zero-emission vehicles, a 5% decrease from the previous year. Ford took a $19.5 billion loss from abandoning a planned battery factory and canceled its F-150 EV. In the face of the global shift to EVs, the Big Three's share of the global auto market has fallen from nearly 30% in 2000 to about 12% today, while China's share has risen from 2% to 42%. According to the Rhodium Group's Clean Investment Monitor, the pipeline of new clean energy and transportation manufacturing investment, measured by new announcements in manufacturing projects, totaled $44 billion over the past 2 years, down by 70% compared to $149 billion during the previous 2 years. The impacts of Trump's cuts can be felt in the smallest and most impoverished communities. Solar Holler, a solar developer and installation company with 105 employees across Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio, and Virginia, has been growing 20 to 30% annually. Solar provided 70% of the company's business. But residential solar tax incentives were cut off under Trump's big, beautiful budget. The company's growth forecast for 2026 is down from 30% to roughly flat. Appalachian Voices, a nonprofit working with local communities, was awarded a $500,000 EPA grant to help 5 former coal communities in Virginia. The grant was summarily terminated by Elon Musk's Doge. Well, the impact of Trump's policies is just beginning to be felt. They are already pushing back the forward march of the Greentech revolution. For example, late in 2025, the International Energy Agency cut its forecast of renewable energy growth in the United States nearly in half, citing the end of tax incentives, new import restrictions, the suspension of new offshore wind leasing, and the restriction of permitting on offshore wind and solar projects on federal land. Tens of billions of dollars of manufacturing projects to build solar panels, batteries, charging stations, and other clean technologies have already been canceled, with hundreds of billions of dollars of additional announced investments imperiled. According to the Princeton University-led REPEAT project, the rollback of Biden-era climate regulations will cause an estimated 7.6 billion tons of additional greenhouse gas emissions in the coming decade, as much as 150 million gas-powered cars would emit in that same time. Despite Trump's efforts to gut fossil-free energy, during his first year in office, solar generation rose by 27%. By mid-year, renewables generated more than half of U.S. electricity for the first month on record. Even without subsidies, renewables remain the most cost-competitive form of new power generation. In a report posted on January 16, the U.S. Energy Information Agency said, "We expect the combined share of generation from solar power and wind power to rise from about 18% in 2025 to about 21% in 2027. Utility-scale solar is the fastest-growing source of electricity generation in the U.S. Almost 70 gigawatts of new solar generating capacity projects are scheduled to come online in 2026 and 2027, a 49% increase in U.S. solar operating capacity compared with the end of 2025. In 2025, $278 billion was invested across the U.S. in the manufacture and deployment of clean energy, clean vehicles, building electrification, and carbon management technology, up 5% from 2024. Investment to decarbonize energy and industrial production over 2024-25 was up 35% compared to the prior 2 years. Investment in emerging climate technologies in 2024-25, that is, clean hydrogen, sustainable aviation fuels, carbon management, and new approaches to decarbonizing the production of cement, iron, steel, pulp, and paper, was 53% higher than in the previous 2 years. In the past 2 years, companies have announced a total of $347 billion in new investments in clean energy production and industrial decarbonization projects, a 16% increase compared to the previous 2-year period. Worldwide, the blocking of the Straits of Hormuz and the subsequent crisis in the cost and availability of fossil fuel energy has radically accelerated the Greentech revolution, with countries around the world scrambling to expand their fossil-free energy production. Ironically, Trump's petro-war on Iran is radically accelerating the very Greentech revolution he is attempting to destroy. The Greentech revolution is proceeding over, under, around, and through Trump's counter-revolution. Greentech is an irresistible force. It may not immediately overcome the immovable object of Trump's obstruction, but it is already circumventing and eroding it. Subsequent commentaries in this series will show how.